Alright, let's take a look at some chess games here. Let me find them. This is a game I played a little earlier in the week that I really liked. Down below here it shows all the analysis of the game. That's a really great way to improve your game and see what kind of moves you should have made. It does have one downside though. When you get done winning the game and you think you played perfect and then you analyze the game, you realize, the other guy could have made a better move, or you could have made a better move, but still it's fun to analyze. So let's take a look at this game. I'm white here. Pawn to queen 4, knight to king bishop 3, that's pretty normal, and pawn to queen bishop 4, it's a queen's gambit. This is the kind of game I'm wanting to play. Black plays pawn to king 3. This is perfect because I'm wanting to practice up on my Nimzo Indians, and this is a Nimzo Indian defense. So I play knight to queen bishop 3. Normal. This is all normal development here. A little bit of, the fight for the center has already started, and black plays this bishop to b4 move. This is what makes it a Nimzo Indian defense. It's named after a famous chess player named Aaron Nimzovich, and the Indian defense just explains it as this kind of setup here where it kind of attacks from the side. It's kind of a generic term. So queen to c2, the whole purpose of this Nimzo Indian when you're white is you want to control the king 4 square. So queen to c2 obviously keeps you from doubling your pawns if black happens to take that knight, which he wants to do, and it also helps reinforce this king 4 square here, because ultimately, as white you'd like to play pawn to king 4 and just have a really strong center. So black continues to develop, knight to c6. As you can see at the top here, Nimzo Indian defense, classical Zurich variation, so this is all pretty normal. White continues to develop, knight to f3. Black plays a6. It's not too bad of a move. The computer doesn't complain about it. I think it would have been better to castle, but it does keep my knight from bouncing in there. And then my next move here, I play g3 because I'm wanting to fianchetto this bishop, and then I can have the light squared bishop also control an e4. The computer, as you can see down here, doesn't like that move. It says a better move was e4, which, as I look back on it, I could have just played pawn to king 4 here and had a really strong center. But I played g3, and you can see down here, inaccuracy, a better move was e4, and it shows it plus 0.78, so that's just slightly better for white. So on with the game. d5, black strikes back in the center. I like the idea of exchanging side pawns for central pawns, so I take that right away, and black takes it back. So far I'm liking this. It really doesn't look like it's heavily in my favor, but I'm okay with the position. I played bishop to g2. That was my original plan. Black plays g6. He's going to set up with a, I don't know, he can't really fianchetto that bishop. I'm not sure why he played that, but the computer doesn't have too much trouble with it. I played bishop to g5, pinning the knight. Bishop to f5. That's pretty good. It threatens my queen. Queen to b3. Gotta get away from that bishop. And black plays h6, trying to kick this bishop. This move kind of comes back to haunt him, in my opinion. I don't want to give away what's getting ready to happen, but I think this move kind of comes back to haunt him. I mean, that's a good move because it kicks the bishop away, but it also starts to weaken the pawn structure over here around the black king. So I capture the knight. Now, I like capturing the knight because he's trying to control e4. Let me see if I can get my little diagram program going on here. Yeah. So, where am I at? h6. I'm going to capture this knight right here. Alright? Because you see, this knight is one of the people that's protecting this square. Also, this pawn protects it. Now, I would like that square for my piece because the freeing move of my game is to move this pawn right here. You can imagine if I had a pawn right there, then I got a pawn on both central squares. He's only got one pawn. I've also got a knight protecting that square. I got this bishop that, you know, is obviously there's a knight in the way, but as soon as the knight moves, then so the bishop's guarding it, the knight's guarding it. I originally had the queen down here trying to guard it, but I had to move my queen. So you can see that everything's all about this e4 square where I want to put my pawn. And I'm going to take this bishop, right? He just played this move here, scared my bishop, putting a question to the bishop, it's called. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to take my knight, or are you getting out of here? All right, so I'm going to take this knight because the knight is one of the defenders of this square. Everything else looks pretty normal. Let's close that out and on with the show. So h6, it's my turn. I take the knight. It's easy. Look at all my queen captures f6. Now this gets him in a little bit of trouble, huh? But he doesn't have much of a choice. He has to take it. He has to take back, or he's going to lose material. I castle, and boy, I'm almost developed here. I've castled. I've got to get my rooks a little bit of action, but all my pieces are pretty much out. Black's development looks pretty good. He's going to castle, but as you can see, the computer says the best move for black now would be to play bishop captures knight. Right down here at the bottom. And I think I understand why. See, now that I've castled, I'm getting ready to castle, this black bishop that's pinning my knight against my king, now that I'm castling, the pin's no longer there. So now the knight is free to move. And actually during the game I was getting all warm and fuzzy because I can see that this knight is going to bounce up here and capture this pawn. Right. I can see during the game that this knight is going to bounce up here and take this pawn, and then it's kind of a fork. He's forking the queen, and he's also forking the bishop. Right, take the bishop. My queen's down on guard in this square, so if I can play knight captures bishop, then he can't recapture, or he's going to lose his knight. Right, and he'll lose this piece, and I'll just lose this piece. Whoop. So that's my plan. I'm also starting to think during the game I'd like to move this knight, especially if I can move him to here, and when I do, that's going to open things up for the bishop, and he's going to start to put a lot of pressure on these central squares. Right, this guy's only who's defending this guy? Who's defending this guy right here? Nobody's defending him. I'm attacking him with my queen. As soon as I move this knight, I'm going to be attacking him with my bishop. It's also being attacked by my knight, so there's a whole lot of pressure going on black center here, and there's not really a whole lot going on mine, in my opinion. Black's kind of threatening this, and he's got a threat right here, right? But if you kind of stop and look at things, some of that, this piece isn't really threatening my pawn, because if he takes it, then I'm just going to take his bishop, you know. So let's see where we're at here. I castled. The computer says black should take my knight with his bishop, but he doesn't. He castles. I can understand that. You know, you want to get castled, but you know, remember I talked earlier about this move that I thought was going to come back to haunt white, and here it is, right here. You know, now this pawn structure is a little bit weak. This pawn isn't guarded by any other pawns, so it becomes a weakness that I can key in on. King's got a little bit of room to move back here, if that means something to you, but the pawn structure is weak. So black castles. As you can see, the computer thinks a better move was to play bishop captures c3. It's my move. I'm getting all excited because I'm getting ready to capture this pawn with my knight. Right, I'm really excited about this move. I can see that it threatens his queen. At the same time, it threatens his bishop over the board during the game. I was really excited about that move. You'll see down here, right next to it, he's going to play this move and run away. The computer says that's a blunder. It costs him a piece. The computer says that's a blunder. The best move was queen to d6. So he should move his queen like right there behind my knight to the d6 square, and that kind of saves things for a while. But he doesn't. He has to move his queen, so he plays queen to d8. And I capture that bishop. And he plays bishop to e6, and that threatens my queen. As again, down here at the bottom, the computer says the best move was knight captures b4. So instead of playing the bishop to threaten my queen, he should have just taken back with the knight. I'm not real sure why the computer says that, but I agree. I believe it, I should say. Alright, so bishop threatens queen. I push my pawn, right? So now I've got two central pawns here. Let's just do this. I've got a central pawn here and here, and black has got no pawns in the center. So this is excellent for me. Now I can just begin to kind of push my pawns down the center of the board, and it's going to cause black a lot of problems. Well, as soon as I can figure out how to get that to go away. There we go. Alright, so it's my turn again, right? Bishop to e6. I push the pawn forward, and now the queen, now my queen's protected, and at the same time I'm threatening to take something. It was a pretty crafty move, I guess. It threatens my queen again. I didn't expect that move over the board, and I move my queen to e3. It's kind of an awkward looking move. You can see down here at the bottom that the computer says I actually should have played a better move. Where'd it go? A better move was queen to a4. I mean, I believe I'm up a piece now here. Let's see. I got 1, 2, 3 minor pieces. Yeah, I'm up a piece here because of that trouble a little bit earlier for black. So, but it's important to remember, I may say, oh, I'm winning, I've got a little bit more material, but black still has a queen, 2 rooks, a bishop, a knight, a bunch of pawns. I mean, the game is far from over. I've lost about a bazillion games by thinking, oh, I'm up a little bit in material, I got this game won. So I'm still trying to play as cautious as possible. So black has threatened my queen. I'm going to play queen to e3. Like I said, the computer doesn't like that move, but it's the move I played. Black's move, bishop captures d5. Where's that at? Bishop captures d5. The computer says that's a mistake. The best move was bishop to g4. So what the computer says, black should have moved this bishop down here to g4, kind of 4 spaces in front of my king, and threatened to take this knight. But he doesn't. He takes the pawn. I take the bishop back. The computer doesn't like that move either. The computer says I should have played rook on a to d1. So the rook on the left should have slid over here in front of the bishop, which would really cost black the bishop because it would be pinned against the queen. So bishop captures. I'm still winning. What I like about this is if you look down here in the right hand corner, I still got this knight sitting in front of my bishop on the white square. So as soon as this bishop moves, or as soon as the knight moves, it's going to expose this bishop and threaten the queen. So here comes a nice move. Bam! Queen captures h6. There's our old buddy, the weak pawn that I was talking about earlier. All right, I've been looking at this piece all through the game, and pow. So not only do I gain a pawn, but now my queen is dangerously close to this king. All right. This queen is right up in here in the king's grill, and I am dying to play this move right here. Put your knight right there, and then what? Now black's in trouble, because when the knight moves, it's going to expose the attack on this black queen. And as soon as the knight gets to this square up here, I'm going to just be threatening to play queen to h7 mate. So, that's going to put black in a real pickle. He'll probably find a way out, but nonetheless, it's a pretty strong move. I'm pretty excited about it. So, there's the pawn that I thought got kind of weak earlier, and boom, I take it. Queen to h5. This is really about black's best option. Sometimes if you're really under attack, you can just offer to exchange queens, and it'll slow things down. And that's what happens. I don't mind exchanging queens because I got a pretty good game. All right, so again, here's another weakness. Now black has this pawn up here all by itself that's going to be hard to defend. His position's not looking too good, and because more pieces are coming off the board, my advantage is becoming apparent because I have 2 minor pieces and he only has 1. My pawn structure is still pretty much intact. b4, I just did that to threaten the knight, just because I want to keep the initiative going, and the knight bounces away. And I play e4 here. I start pushing the central pawns. The computer says I should have moved my rooks out into the game, and I agree with it, but at the time it wasn't too bad of a move. So, I mean, in the one sense, it's kind of academic from here. Like I said, you can't get too far ahead of yourself, but I do have a pretty much one position here. Black tries to threaten my pawn. I protect it. And he threatens it again, and I just push it forward. And he threatens it again, but I still have the, my knight's protecting the pawn, my rook's protecting the pawn. It's still pretty well protected. Alright, so now I'm trying to get the knight into the game. He could probably play knight captures pawn here, but I also have this bishop that could come down and capture one of his pawns. You can see that there. He plays rook to e7. He wants to double up his rooks on this file. Better move was knight captures e5. He should have just taken the pawn. So I push my pawn forward. I like the idea of having central pawns. Passed pawns must be pushed is a chess axiom. That's a passed pawn. There's no other pawns in its way, and I'm just trying to push it down the board. It's causing him all kinds of troubles. So, as you can see, like I said, now he's got his rooks doubled up there. He really wants to get rid of this pawn before it becomes much more of a headache to him. The better move was rook to d8. Alright, so it's my turn. I snatch that little pawn over there. Black takes the pawn. I take black's rook. The smoke's clear in here. There's more pieces being chopped up, but I have more material than black, so it's going to work out in my favor. You do got to be careful, like I said, not to get too ahead of yourself. Black's trying to push his pawn. That doesn't worry me. I move my bishop, so now I can sneak up there and take his other pawn. Like that. He's got to move his rook. He threatens to take my bishop. I threaten to take his knight. So he moves his knight. Now his knight is threatening my rook. Check. That's pretty good. That'll get me out of some trouble. The king starts moving towards my bishop. Another check. King starts moving towards my bishop. What that does is it threatens his rook. So the idea is if the king takes my bishop, no problem. I'll just take your rook. I don't know. There may have been some better moves. He could also play rook captures bishop, and then I could play rook captures pawn. I'm still pretty confident that I have more material than he does. Let's see what the computer says. Where are we at here? So f4 is what I played. The computer doesn't really complain about that move. I'm still winning. I'm still up in material. So f4. He plays knight captures rook. He takes my rook. I take his rook. He takes my bishop. And I'm starting to push this pawn forward. It's becoming a real pain in his butt. It's going to be hard for him to stop. He's trying to stop it. He's kind of temporarily stopped it. I play a check. I really could have played a much better move right there. So I play a check. No problem. King. He's trying to stop the pawn. I'm trying to push the pawn. But, I got all these other pawns on the board, so there's just no way black's going to stop me. He's trying to get in the way of the pawn, thinking that he can take that pawn, but it doesn't matter. I can just keep moving. I'll take his knight, even though rooks are much better than knights, but now you can see there's just no way black's going to be able to defend both sides of the board here. I can stop his pawn easily, and, he tries to get these pawns on the left, and then the guy on the right becomes a queen, and he resigns. So, nice little game there, a lot of analysis here. I'll play through the game one more time. Again, that's a Nimzo Indian setup here. I've been wanting to play Nimzo Indian, both sides of black and white, so I was kind of happy to play this variation, classical variation. Pretty normal. I really don't see the sense in that move. This move right here, it just seems to have caused him a lot of problems. It would make sense if he had a setup like mine where he could put his bishop on that g7 square, but he can't. I mean, I really don't know what he was thinking. Maybe he wanted to back up and put it there. I don't know. Maybe he wanted to prevent my queen from being able to, get to h7. It does kind of block my queen once he castles. I don't know. So, nice little game there. I was happy to win it. I think the guy, I can't remember the ranking, but I was happy to win the game. That move made all the difference right there. You know, and now I'm up a piece. So, you know, once you go up a piece, as long as you don't get too overconfident, your chances are you're gonna come out on top. Always got to be careful, though. I mean, black still has enough pieces on the board that he could checkmate you. So it's all really pretty academic from there. We've already seen all this, but this program I'm using is, what is this program? This is the actual free chess program from chess.com, and it'll analyze your games for you. That's why if you look down here, it says unlock unlimited analysis. That means if you subscribe to their service, you can have even deeper analysis. I used to pay about $100 a year. You can also get better deals on it. You know, there's like $2 a month and stuff like that. But this analysis is fine with me. I don't need more and more. Anyway, hopefully that was enjoyable, and I'll try to show some more videos in the near future.